Mike Pence is a sexist, and he had a fly on his head during the debate.
This is what's being passed off as journalism, political analysis. This is the best the lying, legacy, corporate, corrupt, mainstream media and the Democrats can do. They can't talk up the positives of their candidate. They can't talk up how well they have articulated and have put forth an agenda that the American people are excited about, enthusiastic about, and are wrapping themselves around, because they haven't got one. And they certainly can't talk about the fact that Mike Pence didn't know what he was talking about and basically just lied for 90 minutes, so he's a bully. And he had a fly on his head. That's the best they got. Hey boys and girls, we got introduced to a brand new phrase by the media. Mansplain.
Mike Pence is a former television commentator, does have a very calm demeanor, but I think a lot of people were noticing some mansplaining going on tonight.
Pence was a mansplainer in chief.
I get
Mr. Mike Mansplainer all night.
He made my skin crawl. You know, the constant interruptions, the mansplaining.
Simone Sanders, one of the aides, said that Pence didn't just mansplain, he man-dodged.
Really? This is journalism? This is being passed off as credible, actual journalism. George Snuffleupagus, who ran the Clinton War Room, and he wants to talk about a politician using his maleness and his authority to gain power and control over a female. George Snuffleupagus, who worked for the single most womanizing politician of all time. John F. Kennedy and all of his known picadillos couldn't even remotely compete with William Jefferson Clinton when it came to controlling, manipulating, and getting what he wanted, even if forcefully, by using his personality, his position of authority, and using it to suppress the females around him. George, that's not a good look for you to do that. And then to listen to the rest of mansplain. Now, let me explain this. When the media so quickly comes out with a little something like that,
Mike Pence is sexist.
You understand that was the game plan among the media before the debate ever happened. So let me translate that for you. That means going into the debate, they knew that Kamala Harris was not going to have what it took to stand toe-to-toe with Mike Pence. She just wasn't going to have it. She wasn't going to be able to pull it off. She wasn't going to be able to do it. There was no substance. Remember, right now, the Biden campaign is style over substance. They don't have any substance. So, knowing that, they had to already be ready. And they've watched enough Mike Pence debates to know how he's going to come in. He's going to be steady. You're not going to rattle him. He's a personality polar opposite, different than President Trump. He's going to articulate. He's going to make his points. And they knew that. So the way that they want to be able to discredit him in a soundbite, because that's really all that their demographic pays attention to, is they want to be able to say something that their sycophants then go out and just repeat endlessly. He's mansplaining. In other words, there he sits as this man, and he's going to explain to Kamala Harris, this is how it is. He's talking down to her. He's bullying her. Yada, 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 yada. You know, I thought the women's liberation movement was all about women wanting to be treated equally. You didn't want special rules for you. You wanted to be treated, quote unquote, like a man. I want to be treated as an equal. Did you hear the way that Joe Biden and Donald Trump talk to each other? Do you have any idea how men converse back and forth with each other and push back and forth in an argument to get the foothold verbally and contextually? See, what irritates me is not only the double standard hypocrisy, but on the one hand, you want to be an equal, yet when Mike Pence, who, by the way, is anything but a rude individual. In fact, in my opinion, he was too polite. I found the debate too boring. We are in an absolute street fight. We are in an absolute war for the heart and soul and direction of this country. This is literally good versus evil, and I'm not exaggerating that point. This is definitely good versus evil in this election. And I'm sorry, some of you are still a little uncomfortable that, Trump was so over the top and so rude. Oh, stop. Would you grow up? We are in a war. And when I go to war, I want a general who knows how to fight, like a Patton. Donald Trump is my General Patton, because we are in a war to preserve this constitutional republic. Understand, if the Biden ticket is able to cheat and get dragged across the finish line, you can kiss the United States as you know goodbye. Socialism, here we come. Authoritarianism, here we come. Goodbye, Supreme Court. Goodbye, the checks and balances within the government. It's all gone at that point. You need to understand that. Goodbye, fossil fuel. Goodbye, good jobs, good economy. Goodbye to all of it. So this is a fight. And forgive me, when I'm in a fight, I'm not polite. And so in my opinion, Pence is a little too polite. But to say that he's being rude, he's a bully, but this is all the media's got. This is all they've got. And again, this is the same media that 1 week earlier was telling us, how dare Donald Trump leave the Walter Reed Hospital and tell us not to be afraid. We have to be afraid of coronavirus.
Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. Almost 210,000 Americans are dead.
Speaking of outrageous, this outrageous tweet.
Oh my goodness, Nicole. When I saw that Trump, I literally was overwhelmed.
And now we see this tweet, which is heartless. It is cruel.
Jake, this is so disrespectful. I'm not even sure I can speak about this. It's incredibly disrespectful. What does that mean? Don't be afraid of it. First of all, it's a contagious disease that kills people. There's nowhere to even begin. It's gross.
It's such a distressing moment.
It's just so horrible, so destructive to say I feel better than I have in 20 years.
That he's saying this is so disrespectful.
The president says it's no big deal. It's outrageous.
It is insulting to the people who have lost loved ones. It is insulting to every American who wears a mask. It's disgraceful, Wolf. It's absurd.
Don't tell your supporters, don't be afraid of COVID. Everyone should be afraid of COVID.
It's okay to be afraid of COVID, and it's okay that it's dominating your life because...
Yeah, who cares that the actual stats, even from the CDC, that they were off by 96%, that really only about 8,000 people have actually died from coronavirus. We are still under mandates and lockdowns, and I live in an area that they've extended the face mask mandate through the end of the year now. There's maybe 40 cases in an area, a population that exceeds 200,000. But we're under a mask mandate for 30 or 40 cases. Are you kidding me? And again, the mortality rate, we haven't even had people, and I realize that this sounds cold and callous, and sometimes facts can be that way. Our heart goes out to anyone who has lost a loved one during this time. But you realize we have not yet had as many people die from coronavirus in this year that died from the flu the previous year? Where was all the concern then? Where were all the shutdowns then and face masks then and plexiglass dividers over the flu By the way, some health experts are now telling us that if you've got a cold, it can actually trip a positive result on a COVID test. A cold. Here comes your second wave. So you try to argue facts with these people, and it's pointless. Mike Pence laid out facts. What do they talk to us about? We cut her off. He was rude. And then there was the fly.
Thought that the most effective being on that stage to go after Vice President Pence was that fly.
But the big star of the debate tonight was a fly that landed quite symbolically on the Vice President's head.
It's, oh my God, look at his hair! He's so full of crap. He's attracting flies.
The fly was there to send one of two messages. It was either from Exodus, where it says, "For if you do not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies on you." Or it was Tupac saying, "If you're going to invite me to the debate, I deserve a VIP suite because it's just me against the world."
Bill Kristol has awarded second place after Kamala Harris to the fly in this debate.
Many people were buzzing about the fly.
The fly was clearly the winner.
Technically, that fly is now his running mate.
And here's the reason the fly is a thing. He didn't chew the fly.
He had a bloody eye and a fly on his eye.
About the fly and the eye bleed thing, they were visually distracting and strange things.
You'll be all right now. I know it's working.
You know, whether or not they were going to come out and run any stories that Mike Pence definitively won that debate, it's irrelevant. People I talk to, people who are not even Trump people, I asked them, what did you think of the debate? And they all said the same thing. And these are people who are not Trump supporters. They said, well, Mike Pence won that debate. I then asked them to follow up. Now, some wanted to articulate points that they feel that he made better than Kamala, but most said this. When CNN was going on for an hour and MSNBC was going on all night long about the fly on Mike Pence's head, I realized that that's all you got. You want to talk about the fly? You don't want to talk about the substance of the debate. Well, I will. I've already covered the whole fracking thing, so I won't recover that again. But here's a place where Kamala, she scored all these big viral points online because she looked back at the mansplainer Mike Pence and said, I'm talking. And she had that confident smile. No, she had the cocky, arrogant smile. But The Hill and so many left news organizations, Kamala schooled Mike Pence on history.
I'm so glad we went through a little history lesson. Let's do that a little more. In 1864...
Well, I'd like you to answer the question.
No, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Okay. In 1864, one of the, I think, political heroes, certainly of the president, I assume if you also, Mr. Vice President, is Abraham Lincoln. Mm-hmm. Abraham Lincoln was up for re-election. And it was 27 days before the election. And a seat became open on the United States Supreme Court. Abraham Lincoln's party was in charge not only of the White House, but the Senate. But Honest Abe said it's not the right thing to do. The American people deserve to make the decision about who will be the next president of the United States. And then that person can select who will serve for a lifetime on the highest court of our land. And so Joe and I are very clear. The American people are voting right now, and it should be their decision about who will serve on this most important body.
No, nay, sorry. You know, you had said earlier in the night, Kamala, that you would not be lectured to by Mike Pence about the law because you had been an attorney general. Well, I won't be lectured to you about history because I actually spent 20 years in high school classrooms around America teaching history. So let me teach you real history because you and the guy you want to work for, neither one of you know jack about history. When Biden's out there giving a campaign speech and saying, we don't teach our kids history anymore. They don't even know that a black man invented a light bulb. He didn't invent the light bulb. He worked for Edison, and 10 years after the light bulb, he came up with a different way, a faster way, and a cheaper way to manufacture the filament inside of the light bulb. So in other words, he created a method and a methodology to produce light bulbs faster and cheaper. That doesn't make him the inventor. Henry Ford, he's the guy who learned how to make automobiles faster, but he's not the inventor of the car. That said, Kamala, first of all, Abraham Lincoln never said what you said he said. Immediately, people from the Lincoln Library and Lincoln historians, some of whom are actually card-carrying liberals, said, Lincoln never said that. Now, it is true that 27 days before the election, there was an open seat on the Supreme Court. It is true he did not fill that seat until after the election. Now, let me give you the facts. The reason he didn't fill that seat, number one, Congress wasn't in session. It was a political season, and they weren't in session. So he couldn't have made an appointment at that time, even if he had wanted to, because there would have been nobody to approve it. That's number one. Number two, he had 3 individuals in mind for that position. And those 3 individuals he talked with privately. And you know what those 3 individuals did for 27 days? Oh, and you guys, if Donald Trump had done this, you would have flipped. Those 3 individuals, to prove their loyalty to President Lincoln, spent 27 days on the campaign trail campaigning for him. That's right. He didn't withhold sending them forward because he wanted the next president to be able to do that, to let the people decide. The people did decide. They decided on Trump. He serves a 4-year term. He still has, 4 months to go on that 4-year term. So people decided in 2016 who would be picking Supreme Court justices right up to January 2021. And that's Donald Trump and Abraham Lincoln, who was a shrewd politician. Oh, he was country dumb. He was a shrewd politician. He had those 3 guys out there campaigning for him. Then he picked one. And hey, wouldn't the Democrats flip if this happened? The day he sent his nominee to the Senate, he was confirmed that afternoon. Can we expect the same for Amy? Can you imagine if Amy was out there on the campaign trail for Donald Trump right now? Showing her bias and her... That's what Honest Abe did. Oh, and by the way, when you do that, I'm talking, and now I'm going to school you. Now I'm going to teach you. Well, let me tell you something, Sweet Pea, because now I'm going to mansplain you. Let me tell you something, Sweet Pea. You may think you're all that, but trust me, Jennifer Aniston, you are not. Which means you're not still the high school prom queen, honey. We see the little turkey neck jingling under there as you're looking over at him and laughing and shaking your head condescendingly. And I'm going to school you on something. I'm going to school you on something. Well, listen, Legally Blonde. It helps when you are about to have a mic drop moment to actually know what you're talking about. You're factually and historically wrong. Boom. Hey, that's it for this little rant. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and a like. Share this to your social media platforms. Make sure you smack the bell and click the word all to get notification of my next rant.